Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Let me turn off this white noise machine. There we go. I'll just power it off all the way. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Premarket Prep. This fine session on 7/24/24. We're wrapping up July here. We got earnings season in full effect. We've got the first two of the Magnificent Seven reporting for earnings season on this fine hump day. And I'm glad that you're here joining us to get 1% better. That's the goal. The goal, right? The name of the game. The overwhelming objective is to just keep going to sleep a little bit better than when you woke your head up off that pillow that same morning, right? If you can do that, whether through winning or through learning, right? Through correcting or through earning, through introspection, right? There are all these different ways that you can better yourself. And we're looking to, do at least one of them, but maybe do a couple of them by the time we go to sleep tonight. So I'm excited to dive into today's session. Good morning, Paul, Detrice, Coco, Bailey. Hello, beautiful. Barbara, Alicia. Good morning. Yeah, you can't even, let me see. If I lean this way. Oh no, she's literally laid perfectly to be out of the frame. So maybe she'll get up and start moving around, but we got no whining right now, so we're getting used to it, guys, right? We're getting in the groove of things. She's understanding the morning stream and when it's time to be quieted, and she's a fast learner, so that's our baby. Beautiful fast learner, already knows how to sit, right? Getting used to the crate. So I'm excited. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning. And everyone joining us watching via recording, good morning. Make sure you throw those ones in the chat signifying your intention to get 1% better by the end of this session. That's our goal, right? Each and every day. You don't have to go out and cure cancer or, put a monkey on the moon or, find life on Mars. But if you can get 1% better and do that over and over and over and over again, right? You'll be great. And that doesn't mean that each and every day has to be successful in terms of that. You might have some days where you're like, man, this happened and I didn't really get much done today. That's fine, right? That's human. That's humanity. Sometimes the getting 1% better won't be in the form of a win that you like, right? Sometimes the 1% better will be in the form of, oh, this negative thing happened, but, I learned that it didn't break me, right? It didn't make me less of a person. It didn't make me any less intelligent. Right? Maybe you didn't get that promotion that you were looking for, or maybe you didn't get picked to be the lead on that project, or, maybe you didn't get picked for that account and it sucks. And you're like, man, I don't feel like I got 1% better today. But you recognizing, right, that you are still an amazing person with God-given talents, that will succeed and that will continue to get better is part of that 1%, right? Recognizing that you might not win every battle, but you'll never be defeated. That's also part of that 1%. So value all of the experiences, right? Value all of the experiences, even the ones that suck, right? Even the ones that suck. You might say, Adam, all I did so far this morning was stub my pinky toe on the coffee table, and it felt like I was going to disintegrate like in one of the Marvel movies. And that could be the case, right? But hey, pain lets you know that you're alive. There are plenty of people that woke up this morning and felt nothing. Why? Because they didn't wake up this morning, because they're not living anymore. So there's always a silver lining to look forward to, even when you stub the pinky toe and, you just feel like you could just fade away. But let's dive into what we got going on this morning, because we've got some interesting news coming up here. So top news, taking the lead, aircraft makers are busy securing multiple plane orders at the Farnborough Air Show in the UK, one of the biggest events in the aviation world, despite production and delivery delays as well as supply chain issues. The event, which began on Monday and ends on Friday, has seen 191 aircraft orders so far, according to trade organization Ads Group. Day one of the air show saw around $50.72 billion in deals signed. Snapshot Boeing bagged the most orders, 118, as of the second day of the event, including 20 777-9s, which is yet to be certified, for Qatar Airways. The airline plans to enter those planes into service in Q1 2026. Korean Air also ordered at least 40 wide-body jetliners from Boeing. Rival Airbus secured 69 orders, including 20 A350-900s for Japan Airlines and 20 Airbus A330 Neo planes for Vietjet, or Vietjet maybe. Airbus also displayed its A321XLR, the world's longest range single-aisle plane. Outlook: plane makers have been facing supply chain headwinds while Boeing continues to be the subject of scrutiny, given recent safety mishaps and quality concerns. However, Boeing's management appeared to be more confident on the air show's first day, forecasting that production will improve in the second half of 2024, and it will end the year consistently producing 38 737 MAX planes per month. However, Airbus management cautioned on ongoing plane component constraints. Other updates: Embraer, which did not sell commercial aircraft at the air show yet, announced several developments for its E-Jet planes, including an automatic takeoff system for the E-2 aircraft. And then GE Aerospace, ticker GE, and Pratt & Whitney also secured orders for aircraft engines at the event. Man, that's got to be a little embarrassing. They just broadcast how many orders you secured, and they're like, yeah, these guys at Embraer didn't get any. But, they had some cool stuff they said is coming down the pipeline. Yeah, so anyways, if you didn't know anything about the, world of airplanes, there you go. In terms of automotive news, more disappointment. Let's get into the Magnificent Seven earnings reports. Tesla slayed 7.8% after hours on Tuesday as its Q2 earnings, margins, and cash flow fell short of expectations, and it forecasts slower growth for the year. In the post-earnings call, Elon Musk said discounting in EVs has made it difficult for Tesla, but thinks it will only be a near-term issue. He added that Tesla is on track to deliver an affordable model in the first half of 2025, while the robotaxi event has been rescheduled to October 10th. Tesla is also pausing its plans for a Gigafactory in Mexico, given the potential for tariffs if Donald Trump is elected. Separately, Musk fired off a poll on whether Tesla should invest $5 billion into XAI, which nearly 70% votes in favor of the move. Yeah, he knew. He knew which way that vote was going to go. But yeah, Tesla's sliding pretty significantly. It's not nothing, right? It's not a crazy move compared to what Tesla's done in the past. But 7.8% is still a slide. Again, with these different earnings plays, it's a crapshoot always with earnings. So, whatever you're swinging, make sure that you factor in that risk as you swing it, right? QQQ calls is something that I swung and, talked about swinging yesterday in the group. Those QQQ calls are down this morning, right? Because both Tesla and Google didn't hit, and you've got QQQ sliding. So, that's something that's unfortunate, but the good part of that is, and it wasn't based off of nothing, right? We had technicals there, we had volume there, and it's not the only time that big money has also gotten squashed along with these moves. But the important thing is understanding the expectations going in, right? Saying, hey, this is risky. Hey, if you do play, only get one. Hey, I'm not going full size on this, right? If you don't want to swing, you go ahead and close. And all of that just kind of forms the correct expectations for everybody to know, okay, hey, this isn't IWM like it was 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, hey, everybody get in this, and this is going to be amazing. And, grab multiple. And I like this on different time frames, right? This was like, hey, I'm going to get one of these, and, yeah, we'll see what happens. And, we got downside, but I can't be mad at it. I understood the risk, went with it. And that's what this whole game is about. Understanding risk, understanding probabilities, and then going with it. And it's important to understand too, that as long as you have a good system and a good method of choosing plays, you'll never have consistent losses, right? Like you might have one in a row, two in a row, three in a row, and that sucks, right? Let's say that you just happen to only hit the losing one. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm not in Microsoft, or, I'm not in, what the other number of plays that have worked for us this week. You're like, oh, maybe I'm not in those ones. And that's unfortunate, right? But it's also important to recognize that you're still keeping your, buying power relatively whole, because you're not going heavy on these plays, and you're recognizing going into them, right, that they can be a little bit risky. So maybe you wait for something that, shows up that is a little bit more concrete, and then you roll with that. And that's an adjustment that you can go and make in real time. But, it's important to understand that any look that we talk about is a viable look, right? It's not just being called out for fun. And I'm always going to try and give as much context into a play as I can in terms of like what I'm expecting of it, and, things of that nature, right? Management. So with Tesla, right, we'll see, if they can get it back. I mean, that's something where, you had to take a little bit of a load off when you're just selling vehicles that are continuously discounted, right? They're just discounted. But Tesla, you can't keep them down for too long. So they'll end up making their resurgence, but didn't personally have an earnings play on Tesla. Didn't play either of these, Tesla or Google. Google, I had an inclination to Google's downside. Tesla, I thought would be flat, maybe a little bit up. Tesla ends up being down, right? But doesn't really matter that my feeling on it was wrong because no money put on Tesla. And then Alphabet did end up falling, but only 2.2%. So margin warning, Alphabet shares, both Goog and Google fell 2%, 2.2% after hours on Tuesday, despite the company's better than expected Q2 results, which is something I talked about. And I'm glad that Google showed it up front, right? You winning on earnings, you can beat on the top line, the bottom line, stocks still go down, right? If they're focusing on certain areas of revenue specifically, then, if those, the expectations in those areas aren't met, the stock can still go down. So while Alphabet's cloud revenues topped estimates and surpassed $10 billion for the first time, and core search returned to form, YouTube ads fell a bit short of consensus. In a call with analyst CFO Ruth Porat said Q3 operating margins will reflect, quote, higher levels of investment in technical infrastructure, as well as the increase in cost of revenues due to the pull forward of hardware launches in Q3. But Alphabet still continues to expect 2024 operating margin expansion relative to 2023. So far, the Magnificent Seven kind of stumbling as they come out of the gate. Only 2 out of the 7 have, reported. We'll see, what the rest of them end up doing here. And of course, we'll check out the charts to see if there's any solid opportunity in terms of sliding in, catching the falling knife, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Ether caution. So in crypto news, all U.S. listed exchange traded funds tracking Ether prices concluded their first trading session lower on Tuesday as the crypto slipped and concerns surrounding net inflows remained. The 9-spot Ether ETF saw net inflows of more than $106 million, while their total trading value amounted to around $1.05 billion, less than what spot Bitcoin ETFs saw during their debut. Now that the funds are live, investors are focusing on whether the Ether holding ETFs can achieve net inflows comparable to those their Bitcoin counterparts, although skepticism remains prevalent. Not a surprise here. I mean, this is something that, I talked about yesterday, is that crypto oftentimes ends up being a buy the rumor, sell the news. So, heading up to the Ether ETF debuting, it's like Ether, the prices go up and all that. And then at the point in which it happens, typically prices go down. And it was the same thing, with Bitcoin as well. So this not really a surprise. Not pushing Ether, not taking away from Ethereum or anything, but, it is what it is. This is kind of a classic motif that you see in this space. So it's important to remember it so that your expectations can be correct. This is all a game of expectations, right? Game of expectations and risk and reward. So if you can manage your risk and reward, and you can also make sure that you have the correct expectations going into anything, then you can't really get your feelings hurt that much, right? It never hurts when you're not winning. Like it never not hurts, right? When you're not winning. But you still want to understand that, okay, there are things, here that I did right. And, if this would have worked out, it would have made for a much larger win than the loss accounted for. So, all in all, back on the horse, right? It's all about being consistent. Today's markets in Asia: Japan down 1.1%, Hong Kong down 0.9%, China down 0.5%, India down 0.4%. In Europe, the FTSE in London down 0.2%, Paris down 1%, Frankfurt down 0.6%, the Dow down 0.4%, S&P down 0.7%, Nasdaq down 0.1%, crude up 0.9%, gold up 0.3%, Bitcoin down 0.4% to 66,446. Today's economic calendar: PMI composite flash at 9:45, and then new home sales at 10. So we can get some, minor volatility around 9:45 and 10. What else is happening? AI race. Meta unveils largest version of Llama model. Their goal of this model is to have it be used to train other models, right? And we already talked about that during the Kaizen event. So, you're seeing different models now being debuted for different use cases, which is important. And a lot of these companies, though, are aiming toward one, unified goal use case. 91% favor reforms in public comments for marijuana rescheduling. IT meltdown, CrowdStrike blames bug in content update. Ike Perlmutter sells entire Disney stake after proxy loss. UPS CEO, steep labor costs attributed to bathtub effect. Apple dabbles in foldable iPhone, eyes 2026 release. I mean, I have an iPhone and all that, but it's just crazy how consistently ahead Samsung is like rather than an iPhone, but iPhone just still maintains that dominance. It's that cult following. Like, how long have they had a foldable phone? And Apple's like, we'll get it to you in a few years. And it's like, I think they've probably already had it for maybe at least 3 years for Samsung. So, it's like Apple's consistently lagging behind. Southwest Airlines, ticker LOVE, faces FAA audit over series of close calls. I think it's wild that Delta and all these Delta holdups and cancellations and all that have not made it into this newsletter yet. That is very, very weird, because I was seeing clips and information about, women and children and all these families being stranded for like 3 days because of issues with Delta flights. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough time to travel. Maybe you just want to drive. Go somewhere where you can drive and do that, because between that CrowdStrike update and then, Delta, and the thing is, Delta escaped issues from the CrowdStrike update because they use systems that are so antiquated, which was like a weird task failed successfully type of thing. It's like, oh, we're so old, we weren't affected by the update. And then only a few days later, right, they're falling into disarray. And I'm not sure exactly what was causing it. I didn't look deeply into it. I was just like, wow, that is very unfortunate. FTC seeks information from 8 companies on surveillance pricing. Visa posts mixed results as payment volume growth slows slightly. And then Pentagon IT services provider Leidos's documents leaked by hackers. So that'll wrap us up today, July 24th, 2024. We're going over the hump of the week, right? It's an earnings week. Earnings season is in full effect. During earnings season, you can get a lot of low volume days. You can get a lot of, false breakouts and fake outs and things of that nature. And you just got to make sure that if you play light. You use your noggin, you execute on good looks with volume, but overall just managing risk is the key, right? So let's continue to not only manage risk, but manage ourselves, our feelings, our natural human reactions. Don't look down upon them, but don't identify yourself as them, right? Language is important. When someone asks, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm sad. No, I feel sad, right? I feel angry. You feel those things. You aren't those things. Right? You're more than your emotions. You are more than one day's results. You are more than 1 week's results, right? So I feel like we say I am for a lot of things that we aren't, instead of saying I feel. So make sure today, right? If yesterday something happened, oh, I feel sad. I feel lonely, right? Not I am lonely. I am sad. You aren't permanently any of those things. They are a transient state of emotion, right? Embrace it for what it is. Send it on its way. Thank God that you can experience humanity in a way that, other organisms can't, and keep pushing to get 1% better daily, right? Everybody have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.